Hi guys, this will be my first video on my art channel, and I wanted to do a video on advice to artists and some artist struggles that I have. I'll go down the list. I have it written down here. I wanted to talk about me discovering that there's a big difference between making art and exhibiting. Exhibiting takes a lot of work, and I had no idea how much work it takes until I started doing it. I started exhibiting last year, and there's just a lot that I didn't know that I've learned, and I would like to pass on that advice to any artists who are thinking about exhibiting or starting out exhibitions. And hopefully I'll make 10 full points. One of the points I want to talk about is emotion. Emotion is a big thing. I don't know what type of art that you do personally, but for me, my art is very rooted in my own emotions, and it's very personal and very attached to my heart. And so there are some pieces that, I cried making, and I have to be strong enough to know that even though a piece may mean a whole lot to me, that it may not mean the same thing to someone else who's viewing it. They may be completely indifferent, or they may hate it and say, hey, this is trash, and I gotta have enough confidence and enough strength to stand there in the middle of the exhibition and take whatever criticism people may say. And so if you have pieces that you make that are pretty much like your diary and are just too personal for you to handle getting criticism for, you probably shouldn't exhibit those pieces. Because you don't want to go in there, again, do not go in there with the expectation that the art that you make, what it means to you, will mean the same thing to someone else, because everyone else is coming from different perspectives and different biases and different prejudices and different backgrounds, and so they're not you. Don't expect them to feel the same way. Just don't come in there with expectations. Don't expect people to hate it. Don't expect people to love it. Just understand that people will take it for what it is, and however they react is no, um, downing on you. Um, so that's point number one, emotion. Make sure that whatever you're putting out there to the public, that it is the public, it is the raw public. It's just like putting it on social media, that you're gonna get some lovers, you're gonna get some haters, you're gonna get some people like, I don't get it. And that's, you gotta be okay with that. You gotta be secure enough in your art to be okay with that. The second thing I would like to talk about is framing. I can't stand framing. I don't like framing. If I ever become rich, I will pay someone to frame all my pieces for me, because I don't like having to sit there, open up each little flap, to open the back, to pull the back out, then to tape the piece to the paper, then to flip the paper over, then put all the backs down. The type of frames I use have these like little flaps that are made out of metal, and I lift them up with the end of a scissor, and then I flap it back down with a scissor. I used to do it with my nails, and that really hurt and jacked up my nails and hurt my fingers, and then I was like, there's gotta be another way to get these metal flaps up, and I was like, metal? With metal! Hello! I can use scissors! So that solved that problem. So yeah, framing is really annoying, but definitely necessary, because for the longest I kept trying to tell myself, I don't need to frame my artwork, it looks fine. It looks okay unframed. But when it's framed, it looks so professional. It looks so much better than what it was. So it's not that if you don't have frame stuff that it automatically looks bad. It really does look better when it's in a frame. And I'm not talking about framing canvases. Canvases don't need to be framed. Canvases are wired. And what do I mean by wired? Wired is when you take this metal wire and these little, I don't know if it's corkscrew. No, not corkscrew. Just these little screws with circles in them. eye screws, I think they're called, and you put the wire through the eye screw so that it'll hang up wherever you're putting the canvas. So it's just wiring and framing are both like really tedious tasks that I don't like to do, but you need to do it. If you're an artist and you're going to exhibit, you need to wire your canvases. You need to um, frame your pieces. And another reason I'll tell you why you need to wire is, I would say to myself, it's a canvas, right? I can just stick a tack in the wall and sit, that half inch of canvas on the tack. But let me tell you, if someone bumps into it, guess what's going to happen? The canvas is going to fall right off the wall. Right off the wall. That's not stable. It'll stay there for a little bit, but if anyone bumps into that, it's going on the floor. And you don't want that. At least if you wire it and it's hanging there, you don't have to worry about it falling off the wall. And that's like a big deal. If it falls off the wall and it falls on the floor, then you risk somebody stepping on it or getting dirty, and you don't want that. So definitely wire your canvases. And I'll probably do, a demo video for those who don't know how. It's really simple. You can get these materials at Home Depot, for cheap. Um, Booking events. So this is point 3. Booking events. You need to think way ahead of time. If you want an event in the summer, you need to book it in the winter, if not fall of the previous year. So, like, I'm not saying you can't book things closer to the date than that, but you shouldn't. Let's say I want something in August. It would not be my best interest to talk to the person for whom I want to book with an exhibition with in June. That's too close, because I'll say, okay, what's your next available month? Oh, sorry, we're all booked up until December. You don't know. You want to secure your spot far ahead of time. So if you do it like a year in advance, you have so many options. I personally feel that summer is the best time to do exhibitions because people are out, the weather is good. I say June, July, and August are peak art months to exhibit, and even September, really. But then again, people are back in school, so it's like it's summer, a lot of people are out, a lot of people will see your pieces. I don't really count like kids who are out of school as potential art buyers because they're really not. But summer is the best time I feel that most people are out looking, and the weather's good to go out and buy art. People are in a good mood, so I think those are the best months to book. I never do winter exhibitions. One reason is because I don't drive, and it would be difficult for me to transport my stuff without a car. It would be hard to drive through the snow, for whoever's taking me, and who's coming out in the snow for art. Like, really, who's coming out in the snow for art? Again, this is my opinion. I just don't think that winter is a good month to exhibit at all. I totally skip winter. I do no exhibitions in winter at all, ever. I would say my range of, like, you can do a spring exhibition. Spring is a good time. It's just very rainy, and it's risky to transport your art if it's not covered by a waterproof substance, like bubble wrap, because everyone doesn't have covers that, you don't want it to get wet. And so spring is really rainy. That's why I say spring isn't the best time. I have allergies, so I'm not even feeling that great anyway. Fall is good for exhibiting. I think fall's great for exhibiting. It's just that people are kind of busy because they're back to work. It's not summer anymore. And so I don't think there's as much crowd. But I think fall is a fine time to exhibit. And I would say last month, November. Because after November, it starts to get really cold. And people don't want to go out as much. So I would say you should exhibit between the months of May to November. And I say May to November because April tends to be one of the rainiest months ever. And March, super windy. Rain and wind are not good weather conditions for transporting artwork at all. You don't want your canvas to blow away. You don't want to have it flying in the wind and you grab it and then there's a hole in it or a dent. And you don't want your paintings to get rained on and ruined. So point number 4, materials run out. I buy materials like here and there, like sometimes I get paint, then I get canvases, then I get frames. Well, the thing is, with buying sporadically like that, not getting everything at once, which I can't afford to do anyway, what'll happen is, I'll have frames, I'll have canvases, but I won't have paint. I'll have paint, I'll have canvases, but no frames. And I'll end up in these situations where I'll have 2 of something, but 1 thing is missing that I need. So just whenever you see a sale, stock up. Don't buy things when you need them. Buy things when they're on sale. If you happen to be in Michael's and they happen to be having a sale on frames and you happen to have money, buy those frames. Even if you don't need them at the time, you will eventually. So, and definitely, frames are pricey. Like, don't ever buy frames at full price. Don't ever buy any art materials at full price. I never do. I always buy art materials on sale. So that's point number 4 and 5. Materials run out and sales. Buy your art materials on sale because art is pricey. Flow. So what is flow? Flow is when you're organizing your show, and this is what curators are for. Now, I don't have a curator, I gotta figure it out myself, but basically, if you do a variety of pieces, if you don't have the same kind of theme, you want to make sure that your art is hung up in a way that it has a flow to it, that it makes sense, that it's not just a bunch of pieces thrown here and there and it's just overwhelming and like this doesn't go with that and that doesn't go with that. You want to make sure that you hang up pieces next to one another that make sense next to one another. You need to organize visually in your mind. Do this before you hang it up. Plan out. I want this piece next to this piece, and this piece next to this piece. And, make sure, the colors are going together, the theme is going together. Maybe you don't want to hang up an abstract next to a really detailed piece because it's like 2 very different pieces. So you want to make sure that you organize the flow of the show properly. And that's point number 6. Time, work, drop off, and pick up. So this will be point 7, 8, and 9. Time. Time. So this all kind of goes together. I didn't know this, but most places have a specific time you can drop off your artwork and a specific time you can pick up your artwork, which means you can't just pick it up or drop it off whenever you want. These times can be as specific as drop-off time for art is Thursday from 3 to 6 p.m. or drop-off time is Wednesday from 12 to 2 p.m. Like a 2-hour block in the middle of the day. If you're not a full-time artist and you have a full-time job, how the heck are you going to get your pieces there? I mean, if it's not during lunchtime, if it's not during your break time, how are you going to drop your pieces off? I have run into this problem several times where the drop-off time is very inconvenient and does not go with my work schedule at all, and I'm just like, how am I going to get it there? I mean, I've managed because I had a really sweet boss that, supported my artwork and would help me transport it to where I needed to go on break or let me have an earlier break, but everyone's not going to have that, and so know and ask your drop-off times and pickup times before you decide to enter your pieces into contests or shows, because if you can't make the drop-off and pick-off times, I'm not saying that they won't work with you, but there are going to be times where, like, maybe those are the specific times because that's the only time someone's going to be there to pick them up, and they can't pick it up at any other time. So you need to coordinate and make sure that you ask that question. When is the drop-off time, and date and time, and when is the pickup time? So yeah, that was time and work. That was reason 7 and 8. And then 9 is, oh, I have no 9 and 10. Let me think. Okay, what other art advice can I leave you with? Well, this happened this morning when I was doing framing. I put the piece in the frame, then I turned it around and I looked at it, and there was a little hair. There was a little hair between the frame and the piece, and it drove me nuts. I opened it up all over again and took the hair out and fixed it. But like, you should really, as you're framing, like, hold the back, eyeball it first to see everything straight before you fully close all the snaps, so you don't have to go through that. Because I was really pissed when I had already opened all the flaps, opened the back, taped everything, and then I had to go back and do that. It was very annoying. So make sure that everything's together already, so you don't have to go back and do that. And I guess number 10, the last thing, I mean, this goes back to emotion. Just like, be authentic to yourself, paint what you want to paint, and don't worry too much about what people think, because, well, venue. So this is going to sound like a contradiction to what I just said, but this is really important. You need to know your venue. What'll happen is most people will ask you to send samples of your artwork before you put it up, because they need to know what you're going to put there. You know, there's like rated R artwork, rated X artwork, you know, there's family friendly artwork, there's all types of artwork with all different types of themes that may be okay for certain places and not okay for others. You need to know your venue. If you are exhibiting in a church, there are going to be certain pieces that are not going to be okay with you having there. If you're going to exhibit in a museum, it may be more open for you to have more explicit pieces because it's a museum. But look at this. Children's museum versus adult museum. The stuff you can put in the adult museum, you probably can't put in the children's museum. If you're exhibiting at a bar, you know, that probably isn't the place for, like, sweet little flowers and landscapes. You know what I'm saying? So you want to know your venue and put pieces that fit the theme and atmosphere of the venue. You don't have to. It's just a suggestion. I think that if you really want to get sales and you want people to buy your work, keep in mind what audience you're attracting at certain venues. And as an artist who does various themes, it's very important for me to know, you know, my venue, because my thing is, I want people to know the variety of artwork that I have to offer. That if they see a piece from me or several pieces from me, I don't ever want to be labeled as an artist that just does Pan-African art, or just does social justice art, or just does cartoons. Because guess what? I do all of them. I do anime cartoon stuff. I do social justice stuff. I do Pan-African stuff, and multicultural diversity, global world stuff. You know, I do all those different types of art, and I want people to be aware, hey, if you see, you know, my cartoon stuff, I'm not limited to that. It's like, well, we're not looking for a cartoon artist, we're looking for someone who does Pan-African. Well, I do Pan-African stuff, so that works. So yeah, I make sure that on my art page I have a big variety of the types of pieces that I do, so people are aware of the different kinds of things I do, and that, yeah, I can be appropriate for their venue in particular, because I'm multi multi I have variety. So there we go. So before this video goes on past 20 minutes, that's my advice to artists who are thinking about exhibiting. I am so happy I'm living one of my lifelong dreams, is exhibiting my art, and it's finally coming to fruition. You know, I did it last year, but it's like now I have frames, now it's getting better. I know things I didn't know last year, and I want to pass that on to other artists. So if you have any art questions, please post them below. I can't promise that I can answer them, but I'll do my best. And yeah, I support artists. I am an artist. Artists are awesome. Don't get too discouraged, and keep it coming. Oh, also, wanted to tell you, you can follow my art at Rising Phoenix Masterpiece on Facebook. It's a Facebook page. And you can also follow my art at Rising Phoenix Masterpiece on Instagram. And this is my art YouTube channel. This is my first video, and I hope that this was helpful advice.